That's all we need to say. Beat SC. Let's get it, Bruins.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. It's your favorite host. It's Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. This is Locked On UCLA. Thanks for making it your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, as it's free all the time, wherever you watch it. Thanks for joining in. Today's episode is brought to you by Underdog. Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo code Locked On to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. It's a good deposit. You know what's a good deposit? Choosing UCLA to beat SC. The Bruins need to throw everything out the window from the last week against Arizona. There's no real reason why they should have lost that game. There's been people in the comments saying, ha, 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 you said UCLA must destroy them to get respect, yada, 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 yada. In the end, this could be one of those Chip Kelly era-defining moments for the Bruins against USC. If you let the team cross town come in, march into your quote-unquote turf in front of what's supposed to be the biggest crowd, mostly, we hope, of UCLA fans, but the reality and the realistic possibility of it, who knows? This is a chance for career-altering legacies for Chip Kelly, for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, slightly for Zach Charbonnet, despite his beast of the last 2 years. For the Bruins, this is one of those things that can truly define the last year or two of Pac-12 play for the Bruins. You win this game, you can knock the Trojans down the peg, although they are a team that is coming with a wrecking ball force for the next few years. Caleb Williams still plenty of eligibility. They've still got plenty of crazy transfer portal hits they will go after. The Bruins need to strike now when they have a chance. When, honestly, at home, you should try and win all the home games, as many as possible, when you're playing your bitter rival from across town, and especially when do the Bruins actually have the upper hand? USC as a defense and has not been playing as well. You can say the same things about UCLA's defense, right? And here the Bruins are with a team that plays, in terms of points per game the last 4 weeks, similarly bad defense, giving up yardage, although SC played fine against Colorado, as most have, and the Bruins did not do that against Arizona, although SC gave up more points to Arizona than UCLA did. It was the UCLA offense that needs to take advantage of a USC defense that gives up a lot of yards in recent weeks and just not turn over the football. This is a defining game for Chip Kelly. If they cannot win this game against USC at home, where the Bruins, again, an underdog, but one of those sneaky underdog hits where you can maybe hit that line for the Bruins to cover, if not win this game outright. You don't win this game, then how are the fans going to come back next year with any hope and even care about that game next week against Cal? Even hope, even if it's in a dire strait, that the Bruins, who do need a lot of help to win the Pac-12 or get into the top 2 spots just to get to the Pac-12 title game, or there even going to be hope for the next 2 weeks? If you win this game, then yes, we're going to talk about the Arizona game for years to come, but they still beat SC. You lose this game, then it's, again, the same old, same old. Everybody in the comments saying the flop master, the chipper, whatever it is. And there is some confidence. I do have confidence in Chip Kelly, but you got to win this game. It's one of those, this is the game, and he's proven he's been able to do that, especially when he's been the underdog and a team that should probably go in there and win, like last year when he put up 62 against the Trojans. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's been talking about, hey, we want to put up more than 62. The UCLA equipment team last night went up and put up 55, I believe, at USC's house in the battle between the managers, between UCLA-SC, and a beatdown. So beatdown number 1 happened earlier in the week, and can the Bruins make beatdown number 2 happen again? UCLA underdogs at home, and for some reason, it seems like the Bruins play a little bit better as underdogs, although USC has had some bulletin board material put up by Dorian Thompson-Robinson, whether it's a picture of the hurdle from last year, whether it's his words from this week. There's so many. I believe I counted 37 players between UCLA and USC that have a connection through one another, either from a family member playing for the other school, from being high school teammates, to being teammates at another university prior to them going to UCLA or USC. that to talk about how this rivalry is so unique, it's so close, albeit LA traffic can make it like an hour, but still, they are so close in proximity that the bragging rights are so big. This year, they can bring, technically, last year the full crowds were available, but this, it feels a little bit more normal, yes, despite the tarps, for this one, as it feels like this is the one. Could have had a lot more impact if both teams came in with one loss or fewer, but still, it is a must win for UCLA. USC, yes, for what they want and what they have, technically, yes, it is a must win because they have things going in maybe an overrated sense of fashion. For UCLA, it is an absolute must win if they want to have any hope of catching up in the recruiting game, even though Chip Kelly, quite frankly, doesn't care about high school recruiting. He only cares about the transfer portal and getting guys, books in ball. Well, you got to hit the books, got to hit the classrooms, and you got to be able to ball with a good attitude. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's had that attitude of, we're here to play, don't be a fan later. And for UCLA, this is the game. They have to have it. They must have it. They need it against USC. Just go beat them, because despite all this talk, I've talked about how UCLA needs to corral USC, right? Corral the quarterback in Caleb Williams, not let him hit Jordan Addison, especially with the big running back in Travis Dye out for the year, unfortunately getting hurt against Colorado. Bruins have to really set themselves up for success by not turning it over and really controlling Caleb Williams' ability to scramble. But again, sometimes you throw it out the window. And if you're going to get, what was that game in the AAC not too long ago where it was like 77-63, looked like a basketball score, which is almost more high scoring than some of the basketball games we've had this first week and a half of college basketball. UCLA, sometimes you got to look at the numbers. Even if your defensive coordinator's out, win one for Billy, win one for win one for the university, win one for UCLA, win it for Westwood, even for Pasadena, for the Rose Bowl. Got to come out and show up. Bruins have to come through and come up with a big dub. They have to. You can't fall short in the most meaningful game of the year. You can throw it all out the window, even last week, because the focus shifts to now against USC. If you're not ready, don't even show up. But the Bruins better be ready, and they've shown under Chip Kelly, especially compared to the end of the Jim Mora era, beyond just the beginning, Chip Kelly could equal Jim Mora in terms of wins against SC, already surpassed Rick Neuheisel, and maybe the Bruins can get back to that era, dare I say it, when they were dominating USC on the regular way back when. And those days are becoming, it's hard to remember. Got to start making new memories of UCLA dominance over USC, and it's not here at the moment. I'm not saying that's where we're at right now, but UCLA's got to really say, "Hey, we can put up a fight and win 2 to 3, maybe 4 years at a time consistently, especially under Chip Kelly. And if it is Chip Kelly for years to come, or a new regime come the Big Ten, it's got to continue to start now and build its way into the end of the Pac-12 potentially and the Big Ten." All right, well, do you want to hear my predictions? I think you do. I think you really want to for prediction time. Well, just know that Underdog Fantasy is one of the easiest places to spice up the college football season. All you have to do is go to UnderdogFantasy.com, use the promo code Locked On, and they'll double your first deposit up to $100. You get deposit $100, you get $100 free. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com and find in the Underdog Fantasy app in the App Store or Google Play Store. Again, look up Underdog Fantasy with the promo code Locked On. Get it on the college football pick'em action today. All you have to do is choose between 2 to 5 players on any team, not just only the UCLA Bruins. You can even go to USC or go to other teams and decide if they're going to finish higher or lower. For me, these are the numbers that they've put up. Zach Charbonnet, over or under, higher or lower is their language. 28.5 receiving yards for Charbonnet, or you can do 127.5 rushing yards for Zach Charbonnet. I would say maybe hit that higher number, and then here you are, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, with 250.5 passing yards. 250.5 passing yards, and I think if UCLA is to win that game against USC, he's got to hit the over. But that is a very close one. Last year, DTR threw for almost 350, and this year they're barely giving DTR 250 passing yards. I hit the over. That could be an interesting one if the Bruins run the football And a sneaky one, Caleb Williams, I know nobody wants to hear about USC right now, but Williams is given 28.5 rushing yards, or higher or lower. Well, they don't have their starting tailback's gone. I think Williams easily runs for over 28.5 rushing yards. Is it bad? Well, maybe the UCLA Bruins hold them down in the rushing game. Who knows? We'll get to prediction time right now. All right, UCLA, let's get to it. You've been waiting for it. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you're ready to hit it in the comments for UCLA and say, hey, what's going to go on? What's the scoop? Well, I'm going to say this. UCLA against USC, underdogs at home. Yes, we just prefaced the Underdog Fantasy. We're going to get right to it. UCLA is going to beat SC. You can go way back when to my preseason prediction of UCLA season back in August or whenever I posted it, the goofy preseason predictions, whatever. I've maintained that UCLA is going to beat SC. And I say this right now, UCLA will beat SC. They will. How will it look? Well, I'll describe it in just a moment. But I had UCLA, if they beat SC, losing to Cal as their usual season flop. Well, the Bruins decided to do that before the USC game, which really kind of messes with the mind, right? In terms of how do you choose, how do you choose really to pick the Bruins after they lose to Arizona the week before in a matchup they easily should have handled? I mean, theoretically, on paper, Arizona came in well coached, ready to go, and the Bruins didn't show up and found themselves a bit short. But I do think UCLA will come through and beat USC. Per the number of the over-under is about 76, 77, if I've got that right off the top of my head. Is this a game where it could actually be under, or are we expecting the over? UCLA and the USC last year combined, if I can do quick math, for 95 points. And here they are, the over-under number is around 74 or something like that. It's around that number. I think the Bruins, I'm not sure if they can put up 62 or more as DTR wants, as we all want for a second year. I'm not going to be that wild and say they can put up 70 on USC's defense after they could barely put up 28 against Arizona's defense. But UCLA will go down like this. I think the Bruins can run the football. I think there'll be an emphasis on running the football, especially with Kaz Allen, as many of you guys have already mentioned, whether it be social media or in the comments, saying, hey, Kaz Allen was a really big loss for the Bruins against Arizona, and he was extremely instrumental in UCLA's win and explosion offensively in 21. And while different regimes, different teams, he has that similar capability like the last full game he played against Arizona State. What does he need to do? He just simply needs to be on the field and either be a decoy, let Jake Bobo go wild. He needs to be elusive, in the return game. However it goes, the Bruins need someone to step up. If Kaz Allen is there, he can be that guy again for a second straight year. And if he's not going 100%, then maybe the Bruins need someone outside the receiver. They need a Titus Mokiao Atimalala. They need like a Cam Brown. They need someone other than a Bobo to step up, whether it's a tight end of Hudson Habermill or Ezeki to score a touchdown or two in what should be a high-scoring thriller. I think this one will be along the lines of that 2020 game, and I think the Bruins would win this one 42-38. This one is going to be an interesting one, whether it's a big lead for the Bruins and they need to blow it, whether it's a comeback from UCLA because they seem to have slow starts this year. A lot of their wins, actually, the Bruins, at one way or another, have technically had comeback wins so far in their 8 wins out of their 10 games this year. So for UCLA, I think they win this by a final of 42-38. Will that rub me in the wrong way? Will I be wrong? Who knows? But there's just this feeling. Sometimes you get stupid feelings and you go with your gut. And my gut says I need to eat breakfast. And 2, my gut says UCLA will beat SC. And will I be hungry come Sunday morning for more? Or will I be, I don't need to eat breakfast? Who knows? But we'll react to it right away, hopefully, or somewhere around the 10 o'clock hour, and either be excited, one, for a UCLA win, where, one, I think UCLA will be able to run the football. DTR should post near 300 yards. And if they're going to put up 42 points, he's going to need to post upwards of 300 passing yards. Charbonnet easily needs 150 yards. But UCLA, as I've said in weeks prior, needs someone on the outside beyond just a Bobo. And while we would love Allen to go post another big game, needs someone beyond those two to step up and account for 2 to 3 touchdowns that don't include DTR, him running, Charbonnet running or receiving the ball, or Jake Bobo. Allen could technically count, but you need someone on the outside from a Brown, a Mokia Atimalala, even a Logan Loya, whoever wants to step up for the Bruins, they need that on the outside. Defensively, gotta hone in. I've already talked about this. We'll bring those keys back up. UCLA, you look at those numbers against Caleb Williams, and now they doesn't have a starting tailback. We did see Arizona's tailback Christian Wiley last week go crazy and go big time against UCLA's defense. Wiley was extremely efficient against UCLA, and that was unfortunate because Arizona is really largely based on passing the football, and the Bruins couldn't stop it. But the Bruins, they need a couple of sacks. They need Leatu Latu to try and equal the nation's leader in sacks on the other side for USC. They need UCLA to go do it. And for the Bruins, well, it's actually Michael Wiley, not Christian Wiley, but Michael Wiley, who scored a couple of touchdowns against the Bruins early. The Bruins need to get some stops defensively. They need to force a turnover. They force a turnover. If UCLA forces one turnover against a team that's only turned it over 3 times, then UCLA will get that possession stolen, kind of like that Oregon onside kick. This game, you have to think of a turnover forced by the UCLA defense as an Oregon onside kick, like a few weeks ago. That's what this can equate in terms of momentum for UCLA in this game. They force that turnover, they get maybe a strip sack, then the Bruins will be ready to go, rearing for victory. 42-38 is my expected final in this one for UCLA to beat SC. Yeah. That's that. We're going crazy in this one. We're going excited. We're getting ready to go as UCLA could maybe with a win vault near or close to the top 10. And despite maybe being one of the better ranked Pac 12 teams, if they win this game, maybe left out of the Pac 12 title game because the one year the Pac 12 erased the divisions is the year they really complicated the system where the Bruins could somehow be in a tiebreaker with teams they beat all throughout the season and still lose out. It's dumb. It's dumb. It is what it is, but it'll be sweet anyways when UCLA beats USC. Yeah, hit those comments. Be fiery. Be excited, as we should be, just like for UCLA basketball. Bruins going to the Continental Tire Main Event in Las Vegas to finally take on some good competition. Who is that good competition? Well, we'll get to that in just a moment because, Pac 12 basketball, my goodness. Who would have thought Pac 12 football would have been way better than what the basketball shown so far in the first 2 weeks? They've flopped harder than the Pac 12 football championship aspirations did last week, and we're only 2 weeks in the basketball. But here we are. Let me tell you about Nugenics Total T. And remember when winning felt easy? Because when you were younger, you were at the peak of your testosterone production. It's what some have called the winner's hormone. Wouldn't it be nice to get that back, get that winner's edge back, and get that old swagger back in your step? Yeah, well, if you need more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, Nugenics Total T testosterone boosts with testofen. What is that? It helps you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, get you better results at the gym, and helps you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Again, Nugenix Total T contains man-boosting key ingredients like testofen, just mentioned, that's been validated in 5 clinical studies that's shown to boost free testosterone levels in men. Man, oh man, that's big time because those free testosterone, the boosting of it helps aging the boost, it robs the aging process. It helps you feel stronger, leaner, with more energy, more drive, more passion too. Your partner will know the difference. Just know that Nugenics Total T can help re-energize your life and get you back to being the powerful, confident, good-looking warrior Bruin that you used to be. Again, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenics Total T when you text college to 231-231. Again, text college to 231-231. Text college to 231-231. Text enrolls into recurring automated text message. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. Again, Text college to 231-231 to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenics Total Tea. All right, let's rock and roll with UCLA basketball. The Bruins, they're 3-0. They haven't been tested truly this season because mostly they've played some cupcakes at home, similar to what the Bruins football team has done. UCLA facing a top 20 team for the first time in the regular season, taking on Illinois in a neutral site in Vegas before either getting the winner or loser of the Baylor Virginia game on Sunday. So a very big weekend for UCLA fans. We're either going to be very high on the football team, which will truly be the story of the weekend, or UCLA, which it shouldn't be this way, falling back on the emotions of the basketball team. But for the top 10 ranked UCLA Bruins, how they fare late night Vegas on a Friday night, and then Sunday, either early afternoon or later afternoon, facing either the Cavaliers or the Bears of Baylor. Recent national championship winners, even Illinois the last few years has been, at least with Kofi Coburn, a top 10 team. But let's talk about Pac 12 basketball for a second. You look at the Pac 12 teams as a whole, it has been absolutely horrid at what Pac 12 basketball on the men's side has been doing through the first couple weeks of the year of the basketball season. The Pac 12 has been utterly atrocious. Outside of Arizona and UCLA, even Oregon State had to squeak out a home win against Tulsa to start the year, where they were down 16 at the half. But Oregon State is also 3-0, despite projected to be one of the teams near the bottom of the Pac 12. Let's go to it. Arizona State, they lost at Texas Southern. Utah just lost at home to Sam Houston State by 10. Although Arizona State's 4-1 and just routed a ranked Michigan team, Utah lost by 10 at home to Sam Houston State. Washington lost by 9 at home to CBU. Oregon was getting crushed at home by UC Irvine. And yes, they did rout Montana State, a tournament team, by 30 from a year ago. Oregon's 2-1. USC got blasted at home by Florida Gulf Coast. Let's make fun of that. That was opening night. Colorado. Colorado is one of the more confusing teams in college basketball because they lost to Grambling. They then went on and beat Tennessee, and then Colorado, if I can remember who they just lost to. They're now 2-2 with another stunning loss at home, including what am I looking at? They lost to UMass at home. They have the football and basketball mixed in. Colorado has beaten a top 10 Tennessee team on the road by double digits, but they also lost to Grambling on the road and lost at home to UMass. So weird Colorado team. Stanford 1-2, including losing to a ranked San Diego State team by double digits. Maybe interesting, but that was at home for Stanford, and then losing at a baseball diamond to Wisconsin. Maybe not the Wisconsin of old, but they're 1-2. Washington State just lost to Prairie View A&M. Cal's lost to two Big West teams, one by double digits and one to a winless Big West team on the road in UC San Diego, and Cal is winless. UCLA only plays Cal once and only plays Oregon State once in the Pac-12 season. So those are a couple games either way. So UCLA has a chance to get some truly resume building wins in this Vegas tournament, as Mick Cronin said with his, in between game media commentary and his post games media availability, saying, it's good to build your resume, get those wins, but it only matters if you're trying to compete. Those are my paraphrase, maybe taking his words out of context there, but just saying it's always nice to build your resume. It really helps when you're competing for something like the Bruins are this year and are expected are. And with how down the Pac 12 is, there's no reason UCLA should motor through and not have a big season. But it starts with truly building your team through these non conference tests as the season begins to get a lot tougher for the basketball team. UCLA gets Illinois and then Baylor or Virginia in the Continental Tire Main Event. Then you come back, host Pepperdine, host a Bellarmine team that's already gone and beat Louisville, but who hasn't beaten Louisville this year? Pac-12 play starts technically in 2 weeks when the Bruins go to Stanford. Who knows what Stanford is, but you can never really count out a road game at Stanford at Maples, considering they've got the reigning Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, and then they host Oregon on this Sunday in a weird this team, that team type of matchup the Pac-12 decided to mix and match with on a Sunday afternoon at Pauley, but then host Denver and go to Maryland and play Kentucky. And even Kentucky's already lost this year, albeit on a neutral site with Oscar Tshiebwe finally coming back for the first time. So UCLA has a chance to really get some big wins to bolster that resume. And with the eyes already in the Bruins, they will get some respect more than other teams would, right? Regardless of how good or bad or overrated they might be. Yet for UCLA, this is a truly defining weekend. How will the freshmen play in a big weekend? That's what Mick Cronin's been saying. You never know with freshmen. This is their first games away from home from Pauley Pavilion. Technically, if you don't even include that secret scrimmage against San Diego State, this is a true important game for UCLA, technically, despite the 6:30 Pacific start time, to put the rest of the nation on watch on a late Friday night, heading into Thanksgiving week, as what most people call feast week full of basketball games, despite all the important slate of football games. It's a really important thing to get UCLA feeling good heading into the weekend. You go 1-1, that's a solid weekend. You get a big win to start against Illinois, a ranked team, and then you either face a Virginia or you face a Baylor, and you can still finish off the weekend playing for a Continental Tire Main Event trophy or not. Either way, UCLA, a win, solid, gives us decent expectations, albeit it'd be better to get a win first than play with a loss and a win. You get a win, you get 2 wins, then UCLA starts to really creep up potentially in that top 5 based on how things have gone this week in college basketball. So much topsy-turvy, up and down roller coasters, whatever it may be in college basketball. The Bruins really want to take advantage of that and put the nation on notice. Hey, they're a team not to be messed with overall. Again, it starts with Illinois and the Bruins taking on Illinois, UCLA. It's going to come down to who's going to be the extra scoring. A lot of it this year has become through Jalen Clark's defense turning into offense. Tiger Campbell or Jaime Hawkins Jr. has really been the 1, 2, or 3 option. Whoever's been the 3, who's going to be that 4th scorer for the Bruins that can maybe turn into a leading scorer for a game or consistently for the rest of the season? Is Bailey going to find that consistency with his shot? He had double-digit scoring on 6 shots, 5 of 6 shooting against Norfolk State. Or is it going to be more the inefficient shooting like opening night against Sac State, where most of the Bruins didn't really get that much? But UCLA needs to, one, continue their defensive prowess. They've won just about every game, only given up about 60 once to Long Beach State. Other than that, they held Norfolk down. They held Sac State down. Sac State, not the best shooting team, despite all their transfers. Here the Bruins are with a great chance to really put the nation on notice. Who's going to be that other scorer? Bailey is the one who's clear at it, or is it going to be Singleton with his early season shooting as a dominant three-point weapon from deep? And can the defense continue against Illinois, Baylor, Virginia, whoever it is in game 2? That's what keys for the Bruins are. As we'll try and react to football. It's a busy weekend for all of us, right? We really have our eyes on the Rose Bowl, but don't forget about the Bruins in Vegas, considering this is their first real test. The Bruins on the gridiron, they've had their test, and this is the biggest of the season. For UCLA, this is the beginning of their tests on the hardwood, and hopefully they pass those with flying colors, because if they are, you might see the Bruins creep closer and closer to number 1, see if they deserve it, or if it's all right, regroup, and we'll see how the Bruins recover from this weekend against some top-tier competition, or some better competition, we should say. We'll find out if the competition is actually top-tier. At the end of it all, you never know. You never know how rivalry week plays out. You never know how feast week with basketball plays out, but we hope the Bruins find themselves on top. In the meantime, go check out Locked On Sports Today. It's free wherever you get your podcast. Make that your second listen. Locked On Sports Today. For everybody, I'm Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. See the Twitter on YouTube. Go follow and make fun of me, whether I'm right or wrong this weekend. We'll have fun. Make it good, lighthearted, have fun. Hit the comments. Go Bruins as we get one final 8 clap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Beat SC. Let's go. Beat SC. Put them on black. Put them on ice. Let's go. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins.